So initially, when Jordan came into the league, he was a scorer. People thought he was almost like a selfish ball hog type of player. And there was a lot of talk that scoring champions don't win titles. And ultimately, Jordan wanted to win titles. He wanted to be known as the best player ever. He knew he had to get those rings to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, we spoke about in the last one. I think coachability. He had to be willing to allow Phil to coach him, and as we hear in the documentary, he wasn't pumped and happy that Phil was coming on, and his whole process to put the triangle in play and to take the ball out of his hands. But I think as a player, you have to understand you don't know it all. And so if you want to be a great player, I think that he knew he got to that point because he had just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost in Game 7. And then the next year they bring on Phil. I think he had gotten to the point like, I just want to win, man. So if I got to sacrifice 5, 6, 7 points, but he saw it made him and their team even better. And what I watched last night, like I said, when watching that game, 54 points, he's highly efficient. Like he's efficient. He's not. There's times where he'll come down on possession and he's just passing. He's getting it out of his hands and letting the other guys do stuff where you won't necessarily see that as much today. And the parallel between a Jordan is, I just think that he's the Harden of the '90s, and you just got to be willing to make that adjustment to your game. Like you said, for your legacy. If you want to win championships, you're going to have to sacrifice some part of your game for the team glory.
Well, and it's interesting with Jordan, and if you watch the documentary, you see some of it, but if you go to YouTube and watch those full games, you'll see more. The amount of time he has the ball in his hands is very minimal. He's catching it at the mid post or he's catching it on the wing, and he's attacking pretty quickly to make his move. Now you see these players that are the superstars of their team, and the ball is in their hands so much. The percentage of the time, the ball is in their hands so much. I think you see that with LeBron. He has converted to a point guard to where he's dominating the ball so much, and he makes good decisions with the ball, of course. But with Jordan, he was more, I'm going to get to my spot because that's what Coach Jackson is asking me to do.
Yeah. One, I think he figured out how to play the game of basketball. If we really want to get down to it, forget about like wipe statistics off the board. And if you're on the floor, I believe there's a right movement to make based off how the defense move. I believe where your teammates are, there are movements and different things that you can go, right reads that you can make on the floor. But if you're opening your mind up to look for those things, or are you just caught up in the statistics? I think when you dive into the game and forget about that, you've got the ability to get more statistics when you get lost in the game. I know for myself, I can remember in middle school, high school, and counting my points, counting my rebounds, and it just would never end up like I wanted it to be. And when I just got lost playing the game and didn't know what I had, I figured, oh man, you had 18. You get lost in the game. You're not playing for yourself. If you're always got that little piece in the back of your head where, dang, okay, we're up by 10, but I only got 7 right now. I need to turn it up. Like, nah, you're playing good. We're winning. That whatever you're doing is help leading us to this win right now. And I don't know if players look at that enough. Jordan had enough heartbreak to get him to that point to where he's like, man, I'm willing to do anything. I just want to win.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with players like Harden, who can't get over the hump, have been dominating the ball, have been dominating the statistics, but they just can't get over that hump of getting to the title. And he had a good Warriors team in front of him. But I think one of the reasons that people appreciate the Warriors so much is they have good ball handlers, they have great scorers, but they get a lot off the ball with their players too. I mean, Klay Thompson was an all-star, and that guy barely dribbles the basketball. He's getting his points by moving and by working away from the basketball. And I think a lot of basketball fans kind of miss that in the game. And there's obviously exciting plays and great highlights when guys are dribbling so many times per possession. But it does take away from the team game, and it takes away from the team success.
Well, I mean, going back to just understanding the game, I don't know if we hit on that enough. It's easy to, like right now during this time, what can players do? You got to go outside and work on your game. But, well, how will I gain a better understanding of the game? you better be having some dialogues or debates, talking with coaches and players and peers, or you better jump on YouTube and start studying some stuff. You better get on NBA TV. I mean, for me, that's probably one of my biggest study sessions is when I watch games and I watch them possession for possession. And within a possession, there might be 4 situations. A down screen, a guy catches it. That's another situation. Pass it to the post entry. That's another situation. Guy cuts through. And you have to be able to guard all these situations, or be, if you're on the offensive end, know how to make a read in all those situations. So trying to just take a step back and look at the big picture of the game rather than the individual. I think that's what Jordan was doing. I think that each step along the way, and it started too, a big part of his fundamental growth was in North Carolina, having a great coach like Dean Smith. But just look what willing to be coach can do for you. I'm looking last night in that game. Man, he comes over to the sideline, and him and Phil, I mean, they're locked in eye contact, and you can tell he's talking strategy. It's not nothing about like, oh, you didn't run that play for me. Or I'm watching times where I'm going, man, why did you shoot that Cartwright? You were supposed to get that to Jordan. Like, you didn't know that, but you got to play a team game. Everybody's in their own world.
And the game you're referencing is 93 playoffs, Game 4 against the Knicks.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
Game 4 against the Knicks. Go to YouTube, everybody. Watch that game.
One of the best games that I've probably seen in the last year, with everybody on the floor, not just looking at a superstar player. B.J. Armstrong is guarding full court the entire game, and he's coming off the bench. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, those guys are trapping full court in an NBA game. Where have you seen that at? I haven't seen that Toronto Raptors this year when they mucked it up. They did like a box and one and a full court press in a game. They came back from about 33 down, I think it was.
The best of their trapping defense has got to be 91 against the Lakers. Jordan and Pippen just going at Magic. I mean, that's, if you want to go watch two superstars give everything they have to defense to win a title, I think that's as good of an example as you can go see.
100%. The way Pippen was turning Magic nonstop, and it's like, put it in perspective, Magic was the LeBron of that era. Magic, I mean, so to be making him feel like he's going to turn it over and falling down, and yeah, it was an eye opener.
There were a few other factors for Jordan making this transition that I want you to kind of give some thoughts about. We talked about Phil Jackson coming in and kind of challenging Jordan a little bit to think about the team more. But the players around him started getting better too. And I think he saw that and he trusted those players more. And along with that, I think he also, like you said, he started understanding the game of basketball as a whole. So as a player sitting at home who's going to their high school season next year or their college season next year, what can they learn from Michael Jordan in regards to trust in teammates and also in regards to thinking of the game of basketball beyond just yourself?
Well, and the game is big, man. It's a global game now. It's no longer just where we're at here in the United States. And if we look at all the great players, I think this is an old adage, great players make other players better. And that's what you have there. And if you take a step back, like let's look at this era, if I'm a James Harden or some of these other superstars, I have to look back into the past and look at some of the people that potentially paved the way for me and look at what greatness and legacies look like. And there is a blueprint. I think that's maybe what we're getting at. A lot of people, it's like, I can just I'm going to coin my own way. I'm going to do it my own way and pave the road. It's like, man, there's thousands of people that's done this before you, that if you follow that path, then I think you got the ability to do it even better. People get better. We improve. Things get better. But I just go back to your brain is your software in the game. Your body's the hardware. The more you can keep empowering your brain and understanding of the game, you're going to be able to make the best decisions on the floor. And that's what it's going to eventually boil down to. It's not boiling down to what defense you're running, what offense you're running. It's going to boil down to decisions at the end. I'm watching Jordan, guy gets into the post and then he comes down and dives out, strips it out of there. That's a decision. Now, we could call it a gamble, but I think once you do it over and over again, you figure out how to make a calculated decision on the floor. But making your teammates better has got to be the central theme. I think when you step away from being yourself and giving yourself to the game, you got an opportunity to grow bigger than whatever plans you got for yourself.
When you look at guys like Harden, Westbrook, even LeBron, and how much they dominate the basketball, do you think that it's because of a lack of trust in their teammates? Or do you think it's more of, I should have the ball because I'm the best player?
No, maybe a combination of both. But I just think it's, we dealt with it with Jordan a little bit, dealt with it with Kobe. It's where, like, I'm so much greater than you that my bad shot is like your good shot. But then if you watch that process, everyone, it doesn't matter if you go back to Jordan, Kobe, they're always going to pow. They're going to hit a wall. Pow. It's going to be really hard. It's going, do you want to stay here? This could be a good living right here, or you could get past that. And I'm just saying this now in relation to Harden. We watched the greats before push through that wall, man. Like, I just saw some statistics on Kobe, like in his first however many games, how many zeros and different stuff he was having. I think people forget about that stuff, that these guys had to still go through tough times, and that helps you grow. You don't want to keep hitting the wall and, like, I don't know what the next decision is. James Harden's a very smart player. I believe it. I think, if you're not remembering his second year when he played for OKC, man, I was saying I thought he should have been the starting point guard over Westbrook. Mm-hmm. That's how good of reads and stuff that I thought he made. But it just shows what the ego is, man. It's a powerful thing if you go down that road. And now there's a part that I believe he thinks he's bigger than the game. He's just got immense talent, man. I think just if he can switch that decision, and this is for all-star players. I don't want to get caught up on just talk about James Harden. Whoever you are at your high school, at your college, or if you're playing pro, if you perceive yourself that, man, I got a lot of responsibility on this team. I'm the kind of one of the top dogs. I think you got to sacrifice yourself more. And when everybody sees that, everybody's going to follow behind. It's going to be a lot easier to get stuff done. And you see it's inverted. The top dog wants the concessions, and then, all the reserves and the other guys, the role players, that they got to do it all the right way.
One thing I'd like to see, specifically with Harden, I'd like to see him score more off the ball. I think he could be really good at coming off a screen away from the basketball and making the read on the cut there. But like you said, we get stuck on Harden probably because he's right now the talk of the statistical wave right now. But a lot of players, I think, could benefit from playing off the basketball a little more and finding some points that way too. And then it frees you up more when you have the ball because not everybody's focused on the one thing you can do. People are talking about Milwaukee, and one of the things that I think kind of limits their title hopes right now is it's all Giannis, and everybody knows, I might have said his name wrong, I don't really care, but everybody knows, like, what they're going to do. They're too easy to scout in a 7-game series.
Yeah, and that you saw that in the series with Philadelphia, where they can just load up on guys like that. Just going to Golden State, it's harder to guard 4 than it is to guard 1. So if I got the ball in my hands, everybody in the arena, in the gym sees I got the ball, but the other 4 guys can do a lot of unpredictable patterns that you can't, think ahead about. So I think it's harder. I think the most dangerous way to play basketball is playing off the ball. If you can teach everybody how to move the right way, but if you play basketball and you're guarding a person that moves without the ball, that that's harder to guard than a person dribbling. And I think you gotta be aware of these thoughts. Like, I can remember thinking that, like, whoa, backdoor. Gosh, I'd rather he just dribbled on me because I don't know when he's gonna cut. You know what I mean? It was so unpredictable, and that's what you see Klay Thompson, 43 points, 4 dribbles. Rip Hamilton, it makes me think of Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, from our time. I mean, he would just do figure eight, and then make Jordan stop guarding him and then pop out. He just puts you to sleep. But you got to be in condition to do that too.
Definitely. I think the big lesson here with Jordan is that he knew this, and he maybe figured it out a little later, but he knew this, that if you look at his numbers, he was still a 30-point scorer.
It wasn't like he scored like 7 years in a row.
It wasn't like he sacrificed, 15 points a game. He was still getting a lot of points, but he was doing it with getting his teammates involved in the game. And that's going to be what I think will have to click for guys like Harden and Westbrook will be I'm a great player. I'm still gonna get what I get. But my team's got to be involved in this. And for younger players, especially the ones who might be the leaders on their team, I think it's important for them to learn that too, because the more you win in high school, the more coaches at the next level are going to want you to be part of their program.
That's what they look at. Yeah, coaches want to win, and if you can do something that impacts winning on the floor, you get a lot of guys. I'm not understanding why I'm not being recruited the way I should be being recruited right now, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, maybe it's not about your 20 points. If you maybe sacrifice, like you said, 3 to 4 of those points and focus more on getting in the paint and boxing out rebounding and securing the rebound for your team's defense, then now you guys might win a little bit more. If you have lofty goals, figure out how to play the best brand of team basketball and win as much as possible, and the rest will take care of itself.
I think the biggest lesson here with Jordan is the last point we wanted to talk about was that your legacy is going to increase as your team wins. And we could be today talking about this player that averaged 38, 40 points a game for so many years and was a really good player, but his team never quite got over the hump and won a title. But instead, we're talking about a great player who still averaged 30, a little bit more, but now has 6 rings and is considered the greatest of all time. And for players right now who are in high school and college, I think that's the biggest lesson they can learn from Jordan. You can still be great. Maybe your numbers are a little less than what they could be, but instead your team might win a little bit more, and people are going to hold you at a higher position.
Yeah. Well, what if I sacrifice 4 to 6 points, 3 buckets, but then I get you 2 buckets. I get my other teammate 2 buckets. I get somebody else 2. I can end up creating more points, kind of like we talked about with that Rondo assist deal breakdown. I could show you how a person can account for 70 points without having baskets themselves on the floor. And I think you want to dive into that, like what really impacts and controls winning. Another thing I was talking about last night with a coach, man, the players that can get the ball have the ability to dominate. What do you mean? Just catch a pass? No, rebounding, defense, charges, whatever, deflections. If the players that know how to get the ball, those are the players that have the chance to be the most dominant. And that's why we talk about Rodman, we talk about Pippen, we talk about Jordan. These guys knew how to get the ball. I mean, LeBron, Kobe, whether it's on defense, whether it's through rebounding, offense, whatever, they know how to get the ball.
And the guys we've seen in this state that have excelled, gone to the next level, had great careers, they understood playing both ends of the floor. It's hard to see a guy that's just going to play offense go off and have a great college career, because the commitment to defense is much higher at the next level. Every level you go up a little more, the defense has got to be that much better.
Yeah. Well, you got to grow your game, and you don't want to stay still. I think the whole time you're doing this, you're trying to add, and that's another piece I don't know if we really touched on with Jordan. Each year, he added a piece to his game, whatever it was. And I'm not talking about just some, offensive thing that you saw a person do and you're like, I'm gonna work on this move this summer. No.
You're not talking about the bag?
No, man, throw the bag away. Man, recycle the bag. I know stores, they make you pay for the bag now, man. Like, you don't need, the bag is right here. Your basketball IQ, if you want to have a bag, that's the bag you need to get. Okay, and I think a lot of players are lost on how to get to that. But with Jordan, he always added a piece to his game. So if it was, okay, I got to learn how to guard better in the post, or I got to defend these screens better. I got to I don't need to drive by Starks. Starks guard me pretty good. You know what I can do? I can just pass it, walk down, boom, turn around and post them up down. You know what I mean? Like simple stuff like that. That now they're going to double team you if you're a good player. Find open man, and that's what you're going to have with most. Whether it's in high school, college, or especially the pros, if a player is really any good, learning how to make reads out of the double team. I heard this the other day. We ran a play for you, man. We didn't give you that's not the license to shoot it. That's the license to make the right play. What is the right play? That sounds good for us to talk about it. You got to go down that rabbit hole to explore looking at the game and what that means to you. Did you like playing with selfish players? So for me, it was like a reciprocating thing. Do as I do to you. If I don't like selfishness, I try my best not to do that because it made me mad when I was open in the corner and the guy didn't swing it to me. So I always kind of try to keep that in mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we can sit here and talk about Jordan. Obviously, he shot a lot. He was the best player in the world. So we're not saying that players should, from this point on, don't shoot.
Yes.
But the lesson here is understand what the right play is. And if you are the go-to guy on your team to get points, the right play might be shooting more often than not. But if that's not your role on that team, you don't have to try to show out with 6 dribble combinations and shoot a fadeaway. You might just need a cut, get to a spot, and now you can make a play off 1 dribble.
Yeah. We got to keep you on the floor, Espinoza. I don't think we talk about that enough. Everybody, the playing time, that's the currency of trust with your coach. And so everybody wants to play. Well, let's figure out how to keep you on the floor. Fred VanVleet is undrafted and he comes into the NBA, and I believe he had to just defend and deny and keep his hands up off the ball. And then next thing you know, because you do that long enough, you stay on the floor and then you hit a couple corner pocket threes, and now, Fred VanVleet's pretty good. He's going to get a big contract. But it didn't start with that. It started with doing all of the quote-unquote little things that my man Coach Foss calls them the big things. I think we need to switch that up because they're not the little things. You don't win doing the little. You have to. Those are the big things.
You can even look at Kawhi Leonard, and when he came to the Spurs, he wasn't MVP Kawhi Leonard. He was defender, every now and then get a shot, but he grew his game, and then now he's the guy with the ball in his hands most of the time that they trust to make the right play.
Heck yeah, and that's the growing process, allowing yourself to get into that, man. But like if you're getting endorsements and all that stuff, the ego can, or if you're getting, put in perspective for these guys, if you're getting scholarship offers, or if you're getting videos made on you, if you're getting tweets and people are retweeting about you, you feeling good about yourself, like that can take your ego off of what the real plan is and the objective at hand. But I think you just want to learn how to play the right way, man. Like, there's no way you're going to come into it knowing it all. And so you have to open your mind, be a student of the game, be a sponge. I mean, these are things I heard. I don't know how much that they're being said anymore. And we've got media and all this different stuff that we could spread the word a lot faster. But being a student of the game, I think that means put something in your bag today.
Well, and a huge lesson from Jordan that you just pointed out. Right now, it is different than we came up. Kids are getting these Instagram videos of their workouts, highlight videos of their games. Every scholarship offers a chance to kind of send a tweet or put a picture out like, thankful for this offer, blessed for this offer. But, Jordan was the most, I make you laugh on that one.
No, because it just makes me laugh, man, because me and my buddies, kids can't wait to do that. Like they get to argue, I'm so blessed, and thank you for my offer. It's like, you're just doing that out there to hopefully that the next coach can see that, to push it forward. But yeah, I get it. Feel proud about your work, but
well, Jordan was one of the most celebrated athletes in pop culture with endorsements, and everybody knew who he was. But he understood that what got him to that point was his game. So he always focused on the game first. And if you are a young athlete out there who's getting these videos and getting the hype surrounding yourself, I mean, yeah, enjoy it a little bit, and it is cool. I wish I could have had that when I was a kid. Didn't have it. We didn't have Instagram. But always remember what your goals were and what are making those opportunities for you. And stay focused on doing the little things, which are the big things, being a better teammate, growing your IQ, and don't focus so much on getting a more hype video or, this or that.
The notoriety. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I want to mention this. When you talk about that stuff, kind of just tapping out of the society, the social media and stuff like that, Nigel Williams-Goss comes to my mind, where being something he kept directed on his goal, and where the social media era was going on, and he would just turn it off. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when he was at UW and at Gonzaga, like, he just wasn't participating on it. And so having that North Star in front of you and knowing, like, I'm not saying, like, you got this available, you can use this stuff, but understand what it's used for, because you go down that rabbit hole, that Pandora's box, and it's I think it can be more negative reinforcing than positive reinforcing.
Let's get to it. Look.